Alright, you bastards, it is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about video games, and especially survival video games, and are they helpful to gain knowledge for real-life survival scenarios, uh, especially from children to beginning preppers. Are they useful? And we're going to talk about the plus sides and the downsides. But before we do that, if you're interested in not gaming but books, there are two books of mine that are out, and you can buy them in the description. There will be a link in the description. Bloody Crosses and the Jason Murders. They are both detective stories. So if you're interested, take a look in the description, I would say. Alright, gaming. Well, gaming has a special place in my heart, not because I'm a real big gamer, but I was more into gaming when I was young, but my prepping started with this, a game named Stalker. It's placed around the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, and when I was young, I played this game so much, and yeah, it started getting me into survival because I looked up if the nuclear plant where I lived close by could have a disaster, and I discovered that other disasters could happen. So gaming helped me get into prepping and made me a more free man that I would be elsewhere. So we're going to talk about gaming. Are they useful? Well, we're going to talk about several games on how useful they are. But if we're going to talk about games, why would games be? What do I look into a survival game? Well, a survival game needs to have certain things. There are a few things that they will not have. One thing that games will never give you, how much you play them, is the experience with pain, with real life stress, time delusion, because yeah, you're just playing for perhaps an hour or two in your safety of your home. So you can play several days in 1 hour in game time, so to say. So you also never get the experience of real fear, the real fear of your life. For example, if you fuck up, the connection with other players or with NPCs is not the same as in real life. You can bullshit an NPC into doing the things you eventually want to get from them, but in real life you have to be tactical, you have to be more subtle about it, or you have to make hard choices. So that's something that you don't get. You don't also get the feeling of real hunger. And I'm not talking about during mid game going to the fridge for a snack. I'm talking about real hunger, like 3 days not eating while you are in a forest with a backpack, uh, doing in cold and hot terrain. Talking about that, there's also thirst. If you talking about real thirst, that's I cannot describe it to you, but it really sucks. Heat, cold, and fatigue from doing all this labor. So that's the things you will never experience from a survival game. But what you can learn from a survival game are consequences, and it is actually the most important one. We're going to talk about these things in the next games I'm going to talk, but consequence is really important. If your every action you do in a game, there should be consequences, and you need to weigh up which consequences are you need, or which are worse, or which one are best. So that's really important. So you don't get out of the safe. You don't get to get into the safe zone and just get out and like nothing happens. So that kind of stuff. Resource management is very important in many games, and it teaches you how to be tactical about what do you need, what can I take, because for example, you can have a really good gun, but you have all this food that you can play longer. So which one do you choose? And these are choices that you will have to make, or which resources you can take in amount of backpack that you will have. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Tactics, yeah, of course, there are many shooter games using cover, concealment, diversion, advantage points, especially if it's a squad-based game or multiplayer. Those are things that you will learn that can be handy for later on. Luck is also very important, because another thing about games is certain games have too much insurance that when that guard is walking on a patrol, you know he's going to do that and nothing else. But in real life, guards are very unpredictable in what they're going to do. So you think he's always going to do that. At that moment, I will go there, but the guard never really changes, or with the slight noise, they will hear something and they will investigate in the game. So that's something that is important in a survival game, that you don't always have control. No matter how much you're planning, there is always a possibility of failing, and it depends on luck whether you think this is a safe passage or there is a big monster or ambush on that path that you did not expect. So that's part of the game, chance of luck. Patience is also very important. A lot of games, they will test you on this, because some games have something that you can do a time lapse, and some games are always real time. So yeah, depending on what kind of game, it can be very handy that you learn to assess the situation before you do an action, and you do much planning. Planning is also very important, that you will learn how to execute to a certain objective. Will I take this route? This is an easier route, but it has consequences. We talked about that. So yeah, alertness, that you just not press Z while you're drinking and nothing bad will happen. That is, for example, in Far Cry, you cannot just press Z for the Jeep just running on the lane, because every time you could get ambushed by a patrol that you get into. So yeah, alertness is very important, and also for resources, that you just not just walking, being bored till you get to the point A that you wanted to go, but on the side you find perhaps something to scavenge, plants, medicine, guns, that kind of stuff. Very important. Another thing is maintenance. It was always in games that, for example, if you have a piece of equipment, gear, clothing, or a gun, that once you had it, it will never break down. But in modern games, there are these things that is calling degrading. So the more you shoot a gun, the more maintenance and repairs need, otherwise it will explode in your face, for example, or clothing that will tear up after you get wounded. That kind of stuff is very important, that you learn to maintain stuff, that you will not just going gung-ho somewhere and think that your clothing will not be affected. Alright, so those are the things that you can learn from games, or in the beginning not learn from games. So we're going to talk about the games that I played that learned me a lot. Of course, like I said, Stalker, I played all the Stalkers except the Stalker 2. My computer cannot handle it, but I don't have that much time for gaming anyway, so I have to make choices. But yeah, Stalker is one of those games that you... what's good about it is it's a real big world. It's like 60 square kilometers of real world that you will have to travel by foot. There are no vehicles, especially in these three games. And yeah, you will find things. You have to be lucky to not encounter certain monster or anomalies or bandits or enemy factions. So that's also a part of it, because it's very randomized. You cannot always planning or how do you say this, do recon and be sure about it that it will be the next time the same, because the environment usually changes. You got to be patient to do certain missions. Sometimes you can sit 50 minutes till you wait for an open window to do a certain action. Planning, very important, that you plan to go, yet you will have to scout to go into an area, and you will think, oh, I need this kind of protection against whether nuclear, chemical, or in this game, psychic things, so to say, or enemies. Alertness, always watch your surrounding, because some dangers are hidden and you can walk into very bad places if you're not alert. Maintenance, your weapons, clothing, gear, protection always need constant maintenance. The longer you're outside of safe zones, you need food, that kind of stuff. So to keep your energy up. So yeah, it's, in my opinion, a very good game. It's perhaps a little bit outdated, these three. There is a Stalker 2 now, but I have not played that yet. But yeah, it's a very good game if you want to learn survival. And you also need to manage your resources very good, because you can only take this amount of kilograms of gear into your backpack. especially if you have better gear. That usually means that it's heavier, but it's more durable. Consequences: there are enemy factions that you will have to appease or fight, and sometimes you have to make a choice. Like there are these two factions, freedom and duty, and you will need them both for your mission to complete the game, but you will have to choose one over the other, and then the other could make life very miserable for you. So yeah, you can never win in that situation. All right. Next game I would say is this is also, yeah, I know I'm a boomer, not a boomer, but I'm an old gamer because I still have these physical copies. Uh, Operation Flashpoint. This is a very interesting game because this was made as a realistic simulator for the American Army in back in the days, and I must say it's really realistic. The map could be like a whole country, like a whole small island country. So it's very large. You have vehicles, weapons, tactics units from a first-person shooter, but the problem is it's very realistic. It's not like Call of Duty that you just point, shoot, and kill very fast in a shoot 'em up game. But this is needs tactics because you need to position yourself in a favorable terrain in terrain using tactics, using certain weapons, and the enemy can shoot. And it's also very based on luck because you can go on the islands just for like 20 kilometers in a military convoy, no problem, and suddenly you get ambushed from far away. You don't even see the enemy, but they're shooting at you. You get hit in the leg, and you will have to crawl because even the medic uh, cannot. It's not like they give you a medkit, you stand up and you can fight again. No, if you're shot in the leg, you will crawl for the rest of the mission. If you got shot in the head or the upper body, you're dead. Even if they are from 2 kilometers away, lucky shot that they got, and you're dead. After all this time, so you got to have patience in this game. So that was really good about it, but also really annoying because it's very hard to do missions in this game. It's like really realistic, and yeah, it's not also that you can just go, oh, I can just shoot at the enemy as much as I want and go to pick up some ammo. No, you you cannot do that. It's like you do with what you got, and if you want to carry an enemy weapon, you will have to go to the enemy. But yeah, there could be ambushes, enemy soldiers walking around, and even one enemy soldier with even a pistol from that you even not even saw in the bushes could take you out and completely destroy an hour of gameplay that you will have to do again. So I would advise to play this game. It will really test your skills. Um, we got Sniper Elite. Sniper Elite is handy because it's realistic with their sniper rifles. Because depending on the difficulty you set on, you learn how to use a sniper. You got to take account elevation drop. Elevation drop. You got to see how far they are away. Put your scope into it. Wind, that kind of stuff can affect your can affect your aim, bullet drop. You have to conceal. You have to do camouflage. You have to be tactical about certain situations, close by, far away. So Sniper Elite is one of those games that will realistically learn how to snipe, hunt, that kind of stuff. So yeah, uh, those games I will put on in a minute. But the one game that I recently played because I had a little bit of time and I was really wondering about a certain game called Project Zomboid. And it is a zombie game, but it is one of the most realistic games that I ever played in a survival setting. It's like a zombie game, but you can do anything with it. Anything is so realistic. From You cannot just pause the game because you cannot just pause the game to get something out of your backpack. Choose which one will I choose, because you can be attacked. You have sleep, hunger, fatigue, anxiety that you will manage by perhaps reading a book or do something else. Your fitness level, every part of your body, insulation, fever, thirst, hunger, every wound possible, illness, eating spoiled or bad food, chance. It's a really game of chance. Anything you, it is really. And if you want to take something out of a backpack, it takes longer than something that you put in your pocket. Sleeping, even if you sleep on a bed or a chair, it could be a big difference in quality of sleep. It is you. It is a really realistic game. For example, if you just want to do basic stuff, for example, you just want to cook something, you need to find food that is not spoiled. You will have to find a pan. You will have to find a source of heat. You will have to find a way to keep up that heat source. You have to deflect it from the zombies from seeing it. You have to do. You take your time for it. You got to have knowledge for it that you will have to gather in the game. You can even plant farms, set up defenses like a building game, but you will have to do anything. If you want iron fence, you have to learn welding. You get to gather the materials. You get to gather the tools, get them together, and see that they work. For example, if you want to weld, you have to find a generator, or you have to find uh, something to weld without, like with gas. So yeah, it's really realistic. It really takes a long time, and it's a lot of luck, a lot of consequences. If you make one mistake, you could be dead. You can eat one. You can survive the whole horde, have a whole base farm set up, that kind of stuff. Even the food will rot over certain times, so you cannot just go, oh, there's no food here, I will go to the next town and gather their supplies. No, the food in the longer the game lasts, the more everything will degrade. So you go to the next towns after perhaps 30 days, and the food will be rotten. So you will have to find your own food by fishing, foraging, hunting, or growing or farming it yourself. But there are still zombies around, so yeah, it is. I'm really excited about this game. I only played it for 2 days so far, but it's really realistic, and I'm going to fail a lot of it, and that is also very important. Knowing that you can fail, there is no pattern recognition. There is a lot of luck. There is a lot of patience, alertness. Maintain your stuff, planning, tactics. It's the perfect game, survival game, in my opinion, to test yourself and also to learn skills. Because, for example, for first aid, you will have to. This is also one of the genius things. If you are wounded by a scratch or something, you will bleed out depending how much the wound is. But if you, for example, don't have a first aid kit, you will can tear down a curtain, rip it. You have to rip it up. You have to have some first aid skills. You have got to, depending on how good your first aid skills are, the bandage will last longer. The bandage will get dirty, so after so much time it will get dirty. It could get infected, so you have to take the bandage off, put a new one on, or you have to find a way to wash it with clean water, and then you can reuse it again. So it's a really in-depth game. I can really atone for it that you will enjoy it as a prepper, but you will also get really frustrated. Uh, and for example, also the guns are really interesting because you can find a gun, but you need the good magazine. You have to put every bullet in every magazine, put it back in, and then you can shoot. But the problem is, if you're surrounded by zombies and you only have two magazines, yeah, you cannot just pop 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 Call of Duty style pop 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 pop. No, you have to in game, real time, take the magazine out, open up. It's not just open up the correct box of ammo, take it out, the box of ammo, then you can take bullets in the magazine, put the magazine inside of it, the gun, and then you can shoot. If the gun is maintained and repaired enough, so that's another thing. This is a really in-depth game. There are other games I would say, but yeah, let's keep that for another time because I need to go right now. So I hope you really enjoyed this conversation or ranting, perhaps. If you got any opinion about this, let me know in the comments. Always eager to learn new things about the things that I say. And like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you next time. Cheers.